Hello and welcome. This is our little precursor to DevReach, and I've got with me Alyssa Nicoll. How are you doing, Alyssa?
Doing well, excited for DevReach and excited to see your face. It's been a while since we got to stream together.
It's been too long. We've
Mhm.
we've done a lot of fun streams with it, VR and everything else, but today we're streaming about you, and we're going to talk a little bit about what got you here and what we're going to be doing with you at DevReach.
Yes.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Alyssa? What do you do?
Yeah.
What kind of work have you been up to?
So I am a DevRel at Progress, and developer relations has been this perfect niche for me between development and advocacy, like getting to teach and speak and write. And so I absolutely love it and so excited to find the DevRel career path because starting out didn't even know it was a thing. And I think I've been at Progress 6 years. I have no idea. I think it's around 6 years, but I've been loving the work that we get to do there, and the products we get to work with. And then I'm also an Angular GDE. I've been in love with Angular since the very beginning, since the Angular JS days, and we'll probably always advocate for that, no matter what languages I fall in love with next. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah, you've been doing Angular for quite a while. So, what is the big momentum behind like Angular 2 and
mm,
what's coming in the latest releases of Angular?
yes. So with a lot of people, they don't realize that from 2 on, or unless they're in Angular, that it really is like a whole new framework. And so the team, to help differentiate, it's like Angular JS versus Angular. And so anything before 2 is Angular JS. And honestly, I say this in my talk, which is all about the Angular Renaissance, but we haven't seen a kind of an upheaval of features and newness in the framework since 2.0. And it's a really exciting time though, because they're very backwards compatible and green, I guess, with the way they're doing things. There's no rugs being ripped out from underneath developers. It's just newness, and you can take it as you can, essentially, because there's so many features. I've kind of found the mindset that people get almost overwhelmed with all of the new features that are being either presented like in an RFC, like request for the community to give feedback, or just like, here's this new feature, like let's try it out, and people just get overwhelmed. And so I very much say in the talk that I'll be doing at DevReach, to take it as you need it, and to just try not to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not using the 5 new features that Angular has. I'm a
Yeah.
am I even an Angular dev? So
I've heard like something about this modularless Angular. Like, is this like something the community's excited about? Are people scared of it? What is it exactly?
So I think it's 2 camps. It's not as divisive as Tailwind, but it's modules have been a long-standing Angular only thing, and it's just essentially the team. Like one of the team members recently said that it's, if you look at frameworks across the board, every framework other than Angular, the smallest divisible piece of code is a component. But for Angular, it's not. It's a module. It's this piece that sits there, and it will hold like dependencies and maybe shared functionality, and it just sits there on top of the component, and it is our smallest breakdownable piece, reusable piece. And I think for a lot of people, when they framework hop, whether it's because their team is just using multiple front end frameworks, or maybe they work at an agency, and so they have to like jump from project to company to company. That's one of the biggest pain points that the team found, was just that this base reusable piece was totally unique to Angular. For people who have used Angular their entire life, the entire life cycle of Angular, that is, um, you perhaps grew in love with modules and not only understand them but depend on them. And so it's those people that can be a little bit frightening, to be like, what's happening to my Angular? How could you remove this essential core piece of my framework? But going modulus for your directives, for your components, for your pipes, it's optional, obviously. Do I see a future in which there is no modules in Angular? Yeah, absolutely. But it's going to take years. I mean, the entire ecosystem depends on this. There's two different, I talk about this in my talk, there's two different ways to go modulus in your application. You can do it piecemeal and say, hey, here's this component, let's remove its module, let's make it a standalone component. Or you can remove essentially the base module of the entire application, and that's the scary one, and that's one that I would stay away from doing right now. Can you do it right now? Yes. Do other dependencies still depend on that base module in order to bootstrap into your application? Yes. Is it gonna be
Okay.
painful? Yeah, like, so I think the community has to catch up to this new feature, and get on board, but I do see a one day, Angular with absolutely no modules for sure. So,
Yeah, so you have like the option to go like nuclear and just like
yeah.
do the whole thing without modules and make everybody angry, or you can kind of slowly migrate in a little
Yes,
bit at a time, which
exactly.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really important to a feature like that. Like you can't just wipe the slate clean in the middle of like a good strong run and be like, yeah, we're gonna do this different now.
Mm,
Like everybody,
yes.
stop what you're doing.
Well,
It's
and
so bad.
there's schematics that help you. So like you can kind of say, okay, I want to create a component that's modulus, or I want to create an app that's modulus, or I want to remove this from my app. And I think it's important that the team included that, like so that you could see what does an entire application without modules in Angular look like. Because I think you have to know where like this future that we're headed towards in order to start building tooling around that future. So I think it was important that they included that, but I don't think just because something's there doesn't mean you have to use it. So
Like, is there like a T-shirt that I can get? This is like I'm Team Modulus, so I can.
yes, yes. And on the back it says just no tailwind. Yeah.
Exactly. Uh, so, what do you say for people that have like this view of Angular, maybe that it's an older and like less exciting framework? It's not the newest, hottest
Mm,
thing. Like there's like Svelte and all these new whiz bang things, flavored weeks that are coming out.
mm,
What do you say to people? Is Angular past its prime? Is it out of its
mm.
golden era?
I think for me, at least from what I have seen from the community, there are there's a tried and true core group of Angular developers who see its usefulness and who will always kind of be team Angular. And there's a lot, it's kind of like a lot of the older .NET like languages. Actually, there's a lot of companies who invested early in Angular and now all of their applications are in Angular. I mean, even the one of the organizers for ngconf, Frosty, his company, Hero Devs, their entire like job and existence and money making business is keeping Angular JS applications going and like secure, because just that early on certain like businesses were like all in on Angular. And so I think there will always be a need for development in it. And I'm excited because of these new features, because I think it is kind of like lifting Angular up to be equal to some of the more exciting, fresher frameworks, but we still have that long-standing community and tooling and really just like beefiness that is the Angular framework to support us. And so I'm very, very excited, and I think we'll see a fresh new waves of incoming new developers because of these changes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stability there as well.
Mm,
So not only do you have new people that are coming for some of the new features, you probably have quite a bit of folks that have experience with it too. So
yeah.
that's always a good developer pool to have. So what kind of advice would you have for folks that are just
Mm,
starting out to learn Angular with all these changes going on, and also being older and having such a long-standing reputation?
mm. Yeah. I think for if you're getting started in Angular, the documentation is they're doing a really good job of highlighting things of this is a new feature as of this date and it will be compatible with XYZ. But they're also really trying to clean up that learning path. So I would say if you are on that learning path and you keep hearing these things like modules, but you're like, wait a minute, I didn't learn about modules. I would say just like don't sweat it. Like just keep on your learning path and keep going, because at the point that you're ready for like a deeper, more confusing feature, I think you'll be there. You'll be starting to ask those questions of how can I organize my code in a different way? Or maybe you're joining a project and it has a mismatch. And so you have a bit of a rougher beginning. But I think they are definitely cleaning up the learning path. And I'm very, very excited as people start onboarding. But also, don't be afraid to ask questions. I've found the Angular community is one of the kindest towards just silly questions, beginner questions. And so don't be afraid to reach out on whatever socials you're on to the Angular community, because they're my peeps. I think they're honestly, outside of features and outside of maintenance and tooling, I think the community is my number one reason why I will always be an Angular fan. So
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Community is a big deal when it comes to stuff like this, because you need to be able to fall back on, somebody to ask questions to or resources to learn from when you really need to. So that's awesome to hear. What are you excited about DevReach? Like, you're coming to talk about Angular and all of this cool stuff with the Angular Renaissance, but what else about DevReach are you?
It's honestly the coolest conference for Alyssa, just like straight across the board, because I love JavaScript. I love Angular. Those are like, my two big passions that I'm very comfortably rooted in. But I've, like over the past year started learning .NET and meeting .NET people. And so DevReach at its core like has these two pillars of technology, and so just getting to hang out with people who love both of those things and nerd out. I recently was at a conference and one of the people was like the speakers at the speaker dinner was like, oh yeah, like I don't really want to talk code right now, I'm at dinner. And I was like, but you're at a conference, like you're here though. And when I sign up to go here, that means I can talk about modules or whatever I want to talk about at dinner. So so getting to nerd out just 24/7 with my people is what I'm most excited about. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to be there myself. And it's been great chatting with you, Alyssa. I will see you there.
Awesome. I can't wait.
So take care.
Bye.